اللهم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق وخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وهذه إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقداره العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وسلم تسليما. الحمد لله رب العالمين. أفضل صلاة وتم تسليما على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ورضي الله تعالى عن سادة تابعين علماء عاملين وأئمة أربعين مجتهدين مخلديهم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. الحمد لله رب العالمين. The text that I'm going over is At-Tafriqa Bayna Ilmul Tasawwuf. And this text, it deals with the distinction between Tasawwuf of character transformation and the science of Tasawwuf for character transformation, and the science of Tasawwuf for divine realization and the encouraging of shaitan. This text is very important. As you know, the science of Tasawwuf, the Shehu, Muhammadabdullah bi rahmati, I mean, he breaks this science down into two categories, and then the third category is related to the incursions of Iblis. One, Tasawwuf, as it relates to character reformation, is actually the fiqh of Tasawwuf, the guidelines, the format, the understanding of the blameworthy and the praiseworthy traits that we have to transform our character to where our blameworthy traits will exemplify the character of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is what is in the portion of that is like the fiqh of Tasawwuf. The Tasawwuf, as relates to divine realization, is the actual application of the science of Tasawwuf. Given the fact that now, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us to reach the sacred months, which is Dhul Qa'dah, the month which we are in now. The next month after this one, Dhul Hijjah, which is the month of Hajj and the last month on the Islamic calendar, and Muharram, which is the first month on the Islamic calendar. And then some months go on, a few months, and then you have Rajab. Rajab is one of the sacred months, but it's one of them sacred months that prepare you, if Allah Ta'ala bless you to make it to Rajab, and He bless you to make it to the month of Ramadan. The month of Rajab is actually to prepare you for Sha'ban, and to prepare you for Ramadan, and to prepare you for Shawwal. It's preparation. And in the sacred months, the good deeds are magnified. They're like triple. Like, so with every good deed, say one good deed, it weighs up to 10 to 70. All right, in the sacred months is double that. So instead of one good deed being 10, it's like 20 to 140 and more, or 140,000. Okay, so it's multiplied. The same as the good deeds are multiplied, the bad deeds are multiplied as well. And if we're not deening all year round, and we're not living our life according to the Hijra calendar, the calendar that the Muslims activity is based on, and we go by, and we, so all of our Amalul Saleh is related to the observance of these Hijra months. Is when 1440 Hijra. So we're in the last part of the 6,000 years that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the earth will last. So the reestablishment of al-Islam, the 100 years of the Mujaddid returning, bringing Islam back to its pristine purity, is Imam Mahdi alayhi salam and Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam. Both of them will be Mujaddids, and they'll be living at the same time. The only difference of the two is between them and other Mujaddids of any other time was the fact that they will be aligned together. The mission of bringing Islam back to its pristine purity will be on both of their shoulders. As in other years in the past, there were Mujaddids that lived in the same time frame. They were contemporaries of each other. One of the examples of more than one Mujaddid, being present, lighting the torch of Tajdeed was Sheikh Uthman dan Fodiyo rahmatullah alayhi and Muhammadabdullah of the Hijaz. Allah yarhamahu. May Allah have mercy on him. Also, the importance of reason why I'm mentioning about the sacred months and not going directly into the text was because I had decided earlier to do a live, but things in the house wasn't quite in order, and things had to be done there. Supervision, and it needed more than my wife's attention. It needed my attention as well. So instead, to replace doing the live earlier, I'm mentioning this because it's still closely related to the text that I'm gonna go over. The text is on Tasawwuf. Character transformation. It's on the divine, on the divine realization. So, and the incursions of Shaitan. So this text, what I'm talking about, is still related to the text and the other texts that I do on Sunday, because the problem that we have, the issue that we have is really the condition of the heart of everyone in the Ummah. Many of our hearts are sick, and this is our therapy. This repetition of going over these texts, going over different texts on Tasawwuf, applying the Sunnah, acting upon the Sunnah, acting upon the Sharia in our life and our behavior, is what is needed to give ourselves the therapy, the self-treatment and therapy that we need. The basis of the therapy and these texts that we go over, that's related to our Fardhu Ayn, because the character transformation, the fiqh of Tasawwuf, is related to our Fardhu Ayn. The realization, the science of Tasawwuf for divine realization, is related to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give to us, which is ma'rifah, knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, having haqiqah, realizing who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. And you can't have that realization, ma'rifah, without usuluddin, without asma wa sifat, the names and beautiful names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing who Allah is, and being conscious, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us be mind conscious of Him and Him alone. and following the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is the example for all other mankind, that many of us fall short in, and as we fall short in practicing and applying applied sciences of the deen. That's why we keep doing things repetitiously. Okay. I didn't go over the introduction or the preface of this particular text because I've did the text that is related to this text, which on Sunday, which is Tahdibu Ihsamin Kasalo Shaitan of Abdullah and Fodiyo, Rahmatullah alayhi, Taqaddamullah bi rahmati, Ameen. That's why I didn't go over the introduction or the preface of this text, because it would explain in a nutshell what the incursion of Iblis is. You know what I'm saying? What the incursion of Shaitan is. And all of us has been going over these texts, Usulul Tariqa, Tariqul Jannah. All of these texts are related to Tasawwuf. Ad-Dalail of the Shehu, sending prayers on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, it's related to Tasawwuf. Hizbul Bar is one of the litanies that's related to Tasawwuf. You know, it's related to Muraqabah, Tartib, training. And then, you know, and this is what we need, is training. So alhamdulillah, I thought it was going to be more people participating in the class tonight, but mashallah, it was quite a bit last night for the Hizbul Bar and the Ad-Dalail. So alhamdulillah, this particular night of doing this text, I decided to do it on YouTube, and inshallah ta'ala, I'll be able to load it to both of the groups on Facebook and load it to the Jamaat group, the Dhikr group on Facebook Messenger, and to the Jamaat group on Facebook Messenger. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, may Allah bless our Master Muhammad, his family and companions, and grant them peace. Says the slave, aware of his sins, yet hopeful in every condition of the bounty of his Lord. Uthman ibn Muhammad ibn Uthman, one who is Fulani by lineage, Ashari by creed, and Maliki in method. All praises are due to Allah, the wise King, the all-knowing opener, the exalted, the mighty, whose decision is never repelled, whose conclusion is never ended, and whose divine gifts are never prevented. I praise him, recognizing my inability to accurately praise him, and I thank him as a means of drawing near his excellence and support. I send blessings upon our Master Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his generous prophet, his family and companions, as what follows. This text, the distinction between the science of Tasawwuf for character transformation and the science of Tasawwuf for divine realization, and the incursion of Iblis into the souls. As for the science of Tasawwuf for character transformation, it is the science based upon the path crystallized by the Imam Abu Hamid Ghazali, Imam al-Muhasibi, and others who follow upon that. It is not required to try and take all of its knowledge, nor should they restrict themselves to simply knowing this science without acting in accordance with it. As for the science of Tasawwuf for divine realization, it comprises of direct experiential gnostics, ma'rifah, and spiritual states, ahwal, and these are matters which are designed specifically for the spiritually elite. Kasali al-makhsusin, the spiritual elite. Okay? The correlation of the science of Tasawwuf. The Sheikh, he said, then realize that the nobility of any science is based upon the nobility of what it is connected to. The connection of the science of Tasawwuf is with the most noble of connections, since it initially guides in its beginning to fear of Allah, is guide in its middle to correct behavior with Him, and in its end to direct experiential gnostics of Him, ma'rifah, and being completely devoted to Him. So these three parts that, in regards to the correlation of the science of Tasawwuf addressed by the Shehu, these three correlations cannot be obtained without having the correct aqidah. It can't be correlated. It can't be understood. It can't be exemplified. It can't be internalized, and it can't be acted upon without having the correct aqidah. It is for this reason that El-Junaid, rahimahullah, may Allah Ta'ala be merciful to him, said, if I knew that Allah possesses a knowledge underneath the canopies of the heavens more noble than this knowledge which we discuss with our companions, I would have run to it. The teachings of the reality of Tasawwuf has been gathered into about 2,000 principles, each of them returning back to the single principle of sincerity of attention to Allah Ta'ala in accordance with what pleases Him. Then realize the real objective of Tasawwuf and its advantage is to devote the heart singularly to Allah Ta'ala, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Then realize that when Allah Ta'ala says He is not content that His slave be in disbelief, makes it indispensable to verify true faith by means of the foundation, usul. When Allah Ta'ala says, and if you show gratitude, He will be content with you, makes it indispensable to verify that by which gratitude is known, which is behaving in accordance with outward jurisprudence. Fifth, this is known because it comprises the teachings regarding the outward station of Islam. Your outward actions cannot be valid except by means of acting in accordance with the fiqh, with jurisprudence. There is no tasawwuf without jurisprudence, since the outward legal judgment of Allah Ta'ala cannot be known except by means of jurisprudence. Furthermore, there can be no jurisprudence without tasawwuf, since there can be no precepts with jurisprudence unaccompanied with sincerity of attention. Consequently, both jurisprudence and tasawwuf cannot be realized except by genuine belief. Genuine belief, iman. Since they cannot be valid devoid of it, it is for this reason it is said, whoever acts according to tasawwuf and does not act in accordance with jurisprudence has become a heretic. Whoever acts in accordance with jurisprudence and does not act in accordance with tasawwuf has become a sinner. However, whoever gathers the two together has had spiritual realization. Ahmed Zarruq, rahimahullah, said in explanation of that, This is because the central theme around which Tasawwuf revolves is devoting oneself exclusively to the divine unity, exclusively to divine unity, ifradu tawheed, and behaving in accordance with its judgments. This requires you divesting yourself from your own actions, which is the teachings of rectification of the soul and the hereafter. When it is from direction of the judgments of the soul, it requires being absolutely certain about the legal judgment and acting with it leading to the following of inward interpolation, free of the kind of whims which induce a person to abandon the truth, and Allah knows best. And so the matter of tasawwuf is dealing with our Fardu Ain, and our Fardu Ain is learning the Sharia and practicing the Sharia. This is the essence of what tasawwuf is. And like I said earlier, that all of these sciences is not correct if the aqidah, the correct belief, is not correct. Not talking about just iman. Iman is faith. Iman is faith. Your faith is proven through your actions. But having the correct aqidah, the correct belief, is what the Shehu was talking about in regards to the science of tasawwuf, of both character reformation and divine reality. Then realize that the relationship of tasawwuf to the religion is like the relationship of the human spirit to the corporal body, because it is the station of spiritual excellence, maqamul ihsan. Abu Ja'ala, may Allah be merciful to him, once said, whoever encounters the absolute being with the divine reality and creation with the divine reality, then he is a heretic. Whoever encounters the absolute being with the divine law and creation with the divine law, then he is a Sunni. Whoever encounters the absolute being with the divine reality and creation with the divine law, then he is a Sufi. Ahmed Zarruq said in explanation of the above, the Sufi is more special akhasa than the Sunni. This is because the Sunni is described as one free from heretical innovation, while the Sufi is described based upon his relationship to spiritual perfection, since adherence to the Sunnah is a precondition of the Sufi, both in knowledge and behavior. This text that I go over every Friday, the At-Tafriqa, Bayna, Ilmul, Tasawwuf, is one of the first earlier texts that the Shehu compiled in relation to Tasawwuf. And the reason why he compiled this text, because when he first gave da'wah, was calling the people to Allah Ta'ala in the Hausa land, during that time, the conditions of the people of Hausa land, they was mixing Islam with their cultural tribal traditions, which before Islam reached them, they was idolaters. Before Islam went to Southwest Africa, and it was prevailed for quite some time. And then after maybe 200-300 years, then here come the Shehu. So during this time, the people who was the charlatans of that time that claimed tasawwuf but really had no knowledge of a Fardu Ain, they was involved in a numerous amount of things that they still now practice today. Not the people who from the Hausa people, you know what I'm saying, but other people that are connected with certain tariqas. You know, there's a sheikh in Mali that know how to use red mercury to manipulate the jinn. And they would do this for individual if they bring them the red mercury, because the shayateen and the jinn, they love red mercury. But the sheikhs that do that for people, they already know where their end is. So any person that come to them and tell them they want the sheikh to do this, they'll take the red mercury. But the sheikh inform them that once I do this, your end will be in the hellfire. If you know what I'm saying, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's still some people, they still pay the sheikhs to deal with the red mercury to get the shayateen and jinn to do things for them. There are other siru in relation to reading ayats of Quran, certain surahs, a numerous amount of times to get the jinn to do favors for them. These type of practices are the practices that seeped into Islam among the Hausa people. So the sheikh compiling this text was necessary at that time to call the people back to the deen of Allah. So that, you know what I'm saying, him being a reviver, a mustahid in this time, it was beneficial and necessary for him to write his own books. Even using some of what has been documented and established from ulama before his time. That's in his senate of him learning from his father, from his father's teachers, from his other teachers, all the way back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because these charlatans, these people that profess to be guiding sheikhs, Sheikh al-Murshid, you know, they was involved in these stuff. And he, you know what I'm saying, these are the people that the Sheikh, who he called, as Ahmed Zarruq called them, goofy Sufis. Goofy Sufis. You know what I'm saying? Because they was innovating so much into the religion. You know what I'm saying? That's why it was real necessary and beneficial for Sheikh Uthman and Fodiyo to do the Ihya Sunnah wa Kamal Bid'ah. It was way beneficial and necessary. And you know what I'm saying, the Ihya Sunnah wa Kamal Bid'ah is actually the foundation of the manhaj of the Shehu. This is foundation. And Tasawwuf is built on that foundation. So that, yeah, so the purpose of these works is so that we can get beneficial knowledge that will aid us and help us in this life and in the hereafter. So then realize that the legal consideration of the jurists are more general and comprehensive than the spiritual consideration of the Sufi. It is for this reason that it is valid for the jurist to object, make inkar to the sum of the teachings of the Sufi. But it is not valid for the Sufi to object to the legal rulings of the jurist. It is further incompetent to resort from Tasawwuf to jurisprudence, but it is not necessary to resort from jurisprudence to Tasawwuf with regard to legal judgments, but not with regard to leaving a lawful action. Then realize that the science of Tasawwuf for transformation of character is required to be given and transmitted to everyone. The science, as for the science of Tasawwuf for divine realization, this science is confined to the spiritual disciplines and the Gnostics, although the guides of this path differ regarding transmitting it to others than its people. The Imam of the saints of the Sufis, Al-Junaid, said, this science should be transmitted to its people and other than its people. The majority of the scholars do not avoid connecting this science to other than its people. However, it is incumbent to answer a questioner based upon the capacity of his question, as Shahwahi narrated. Then realize that the pivot around which the teachings of the Sufi revolves are upon the four sections. The first section is inward exhortation by means of the infinite praiseworthy characteristics and cleansing it from blameworthy attributes, cleansing it from blameworthy characteristics. The second section is purification of actions and making sound of the spiritual states, tasha ahwal, by the refinement of the inner, with its infinite praiseworthy characteristics and cleansing it from blameworthy characteristics. The third section is the verification of spiritual states, tahqiqul ahwal, and the verification of social behavior, mu'amila. And the fourth section is direct experiential gnostics of Allah and visionary sciences. The keys of the key of the science of Tasawwuf are four. The first is making sound the spiritual covenant, along with acting in accordance with worship devoid of tediousness and rejected inconsistencies. For whoever acts by what he knows, Allah will make him inherit knowledge he did not previously know. The second is sincerity of yearning for Allah Ta'ala, and sincerity are resorting to Him. For there can be no spiritual opening, al-fatah, without taking reliance upon some causative factor. The third is anticipating and upon some anticipating and yearning for the divine realities behind all affairs, and having thorough comprehension of the descent of spiritual states, until rarely even a follicle of hair will fall from the person without him having deep comprehension of it with the proficiency of his intelligence. The fourth is what Abu Abdullah indicated by his words, I advise you with advice that no knows it except one who acts upon it and experiences it, and that no one is ignorant of it except the one heedless and then spiritually veiled. It is that you not take this science by way of heretical innovation. He then said, do not make anyone from the people of the outward as proof of or evidence against the people of the inward. Ahmed Zarruq said in explanation of that, on the contrary, their concern is to make the people of the outward evidence for them, since every matter of the inward which is free of outward evidence is false and invalid. Then realize that the science of Tasawwuf is corroborated with the book and the Sunnah. This section, the incursion of Iblis, is the section that is basically the source of the text that I go over on Sunday, the Tahdhib wa Insamin wa Kasal Shaitan, the training of humanity against the traits of Shaitan. This is the source of that text. This is where Sheikh Abdullah then Fodiyo rahmatullah alayhi compiled that text from this section. and the other two branches of this text. As for the incursion of Iblis, for knowledge of this is an obligation, wajibah, since Shaitan is an enemy of humanity. Realize that the noblest of what is in humanity is the heart, and Shaitan desires to corrupt it. For this reason, it is an individual obligation, wajiban ayniyan, upon every responsible person, every mukallaf, every responsible person, to protect his heart from the corrupting influence of Shaitan. How can a mukallaf, every responsible person, correct their heart if they're not surrounding themselves by other people, by the people who are trying to do the exact same thing? So suhbah, camaraderie, is very important. Is very important that we help each other stay on our toes. You know what I'm saying? That we remind each other when we fall into these traps where our character display blameworthy characteristics. The one who teaches is advising himself as he advising others. The teacher is still a learner, as the students are learning and they teach as well. So we're all learning. We're all students. We're all students. So none of us, and we're human. So none of us is beyond or exempt from the reminder. However, a person cannot attain this except through awareness of the incursion of Shaitan. For an obligation which cannot be attained except by something makes that something also obligatory. Thus, it is incumbent to know the incursions of Shaitan into the human heart. These interests of Shaitan are the attributes of the servant, which are innumerous. If the meeting closed, because for those who are on Zoom, I'm not doing YouTube live, but I'm recording this on YouTube. So if the recording ends, if the Zoom ends, just log back into the same number, and I'll be waiting. I'm gonna still continue on continue the YouTube video. Among the most immense of them are envy, hasad, and covetousness, hirs. For whenever the servant is covetous for something, his avariciousness makes him blind and deaf. It is the illumination of the inner vision which discloses to you the multiple interests of Shaitan into the heart. Once covetousness and envy clouds a person, they cannot have insight, and as a result, Shaitan finds an interest to make an incursion into his heart. Among the most immense of them also are rage, ghadab, or unjust anger, and corrupt passion, shahwa. By means of rage and anger, the reason becomes weakened. His thought, his aql, intellect becomes weakened, resulting in Shaitan playing with his anger the way a kid plays with a ball. Further, beware of sitting in the company of women who are not kin to you, for Shaitan is the one who sends her to you, and he is the one who sends you to her. Among the most immense of them also is love of beauty, the beauties of this world's life. For when Shaitan sees this in a person, he opens to him all the things of amusement, and which cuts him off from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his signs, his messenger, and his sunnah. What Shaitan beautifies for him from this world's life continues to afflict him until death comes to him, while he is in a state of deficiency, and heedlessness. Among the most immense of them is having love for eating and drinking. For once the servant becomes satisfied even from lawful good things, it strengthens and reinforces the corrupt passions, which are the weapons of Shaitan. Among the most immense of them also is greed. For when it overcomes the heart, Shaitan continues to seduce him through the embellishment and pretentiousness for that which he craves by all kinds of showing off and posturing, until that which he craves for becomes a deity to him. He will continuously think about imagined possibilities and fancies. By means of these imaginations, he tries to attain everything that pleases him, even when it incurs the divine anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, such as his fawning over the thing he craves for until it induces him to commit that which is forbidden. Among them is impulsiveness, because evil inexorable enters upon the heart of the person who is impulsive from a direction that he is unawares. Unlike the one who is circumspect, for his prudence attains for him inner insight into that thing. If hurrying is necessary, then by Allah let it be for what is immediately obligatory. In that case, being circumspect and cautious has no place. Among the most immense among them is wealth, which is in addition to what is required for strength. For this is the place of residence of Shaitan. The one who does not have this kind of wealth, his heart is free. For example, when humans discovers he has 100 gold coins, there materialize in his heart more than 10 different desires, where every single desire requires 100 gold coins. In order to attain it, when before he discovers the on 100, he was inwardly rich. And among them are stinginess and fear of poverty, which prevents a person from giving charity and expending his wealth in direction of spiritual good. Shaitan commands him to hold back from spending and to be close-fisted. Sufyan once said, Shaitan has no weapon like the fear of poverty. Among them are fanaticism for particular schools of thought and ideological whims, as well as having hatred for the ideological antagonists and looking on them with the eye of disdain. This is what will eventually destroy the sincere worshiper and the scholar. Not to speak of others, for when a person becomes preoccupied with maligning the people and mentioning their shortcomings, is from what is said is of low nature. Therefore, incumbent upon you is correction of your inward and outward. And do not be preoccupied with others, except in what the law holds you responsible, to command the good and forbid evil. Among them is burdening the common people with reflecting into the divine essence of Allah and his divine attributes and what is in access to what is necessary from the signs of the foundations of the religion, which their intellects are unable to grasp. Among them is having an evil opinion of the Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, avoid much suspicion. Much suspicion. For whoever judges another person with evil, based solely on suspicion, Shaitan induces him to show disdain towards that person, to fail to establish his due rights, to procrastinate in showing in respect, and to extent his tongue in violating his honor. All of these qualities are among the destructive characteristics. May Allah bless him and grant him peace. One said to two men who saw him speaking to his wife Safiya, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah grant him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, speaking to his wife Safiya, she is the mother of you two. All right, I got 10 minutes. She is the mother of you two. He then said, Shaitan flows through the son of Adam like the flowing of his blood. I fear that he who casts into your two hearts. Therefore, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed his compassion for them and protected them and his ummah. He behaved with them according to the path of precaution, against making false accusations, in order that a pious scholar not be overindulgent regarding his circumstances, as an estimation of himself that others only have a good opinion of him. He would do this being amazed with himself. This is an immense error, since the most pious of the people are those who have the most fearful awareness of Allah. The most pious of people are those who have the most fear of Allah, the most taqwa, and are aware of that their actions, no doubt, are deficient. Therefore, take precaution from the false accusations of enemies and evil people, because by nature they only suspect all people of evil. So each person you see who has an evil opinion of the people, seeking to manifest their faults, then know that comes from the filth of their inner state, the filth of their heart, and the evils of his inner consciousness. For the believer seeks excuses for others due to the health of his breast, while the hypocrite seeks after faults due to the filth of his inward state. These are just some of the incursions of Shaitan, Iblis, into the hearts. In them are admonitions against the reminder. In summation, there does not exist in the Adamic creature, any blameworthy attribute except that it is one of the weapons of Shaitan. By means of these weapons, he is assisted in leading mankind astray. Therefore, return to Allah, so that by means of his mercy, he can redeem you from Shaitan's plot and scheme. Take hold of his remembrance as a companion, or remembrance of the hereafter as an assistant. For whoever is persistent in that, Allah will protect him. Allah willing from the reminder of the destructive attributes. Then realize that all of these destructive traits, their action stems from evil character, while abandoning them springs from excellent character. Excellent character itself derives from the moderation of the strength of reason, restraint of anger, and self-control of desire. The gathering of all of these traits of temperance is the sign of the attributes of excellent character in a person. For this, such a person is described with which modesty, causing little harm to others, much uprightness, truthfulness of the tongue, few words of this worldly life, any good deeds, few errors, and few extravagance. Then such a person is described as victorious in achievement, dignified in patience, content in gratitude, tolerant in friendship, principled in brotherhood, who does not curse, defame, or envy, optimistic and jovial, who loves Allah, hates for the sake of Allah, and is content and angry for the sake of Allah. These are the attributes from a person who has good character. We ask Allah to make us successful in verifying in ourselves character transformation by the rank of the master of the first and last. O Allah, make us guided in this world, the recipients of mercy in the hereafter, grateful for your blessings, acting in accordance with your obedience, fleeing from disobedience, concealed from hardships, safe from tribulations, joyful at death, well established in the grave, protected at the resurrection, sanctioned to cross the Sirat, brought before the Prophet ﷺ basin, married to the Hurriyeen, and gazing upon your generous face. Be merciful to us, O most merciful of the merciful. All praise are due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, and may His blessings blessings and peace be upon the generous Prophet and Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayh. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wassalamun ala mursalin, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin, wassalatu wassalam ala rasul kareem, ameen. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll be doing Usulul Tariqa of the Shehu tomorrow night, inshallah. These classes are repetitive, and alhamdulillah, it was only 2 participants in the Zoom class, but I got 51 minutes of this YouTube video, and I'm gonna load it to the Jamaat class group and the Masjid Uthman and Fodiyo rahmatullah alayhi class discussion group, and to the messenger groups, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah, I see both of y'all tomorrow. I see everyone tomorrow that tune in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.